ora e te iwi and welcome to another episode of Playmakers. Now, New Zealand UFC lightweight fighter Brad Riddell will be facing Rafael Fiziev on December the 4th at UFC Fight Night 199, and we are so happy that he is able to join us today to tell us all about it. Kia ora, kia koe, Brad.
Kia ora, how are you guys?
Yeah, good, thank you. It looks very, very beautiful where you are. So I'm guessing, you're enjoying the sunshine and you're doing a little bit better than I am at the moment.
Yeah, it's a really good day. I'm just getting some sun before the next training. So, yeah, it's good.
First of all, Brad, before we go any further, the last time I spoke with you was just before your Drew Dober fight. And at that time, you were obviously looking for a win. You were looking to crack the top 15. You did both. So before we move any further, congratulations on that.
Yeah, that one played out how I hoped it would, so I can't complain. But it was another hard fight, another hard opponent. But I guess it's exactly the same next time as well. So it seems to be a bit of a pattern.
Very true. Just on that Drew Dober fight, it was a big deal. It was, it's kind of catapulted you to really solidify your spot in the top 15 in the lightweight division. What did you take away from that fight? Because, just like your other fights, it was a full-on war. But what did you take away from that fight in particular, heading forward to, to get even further up the rankings?
It was like a bit of a confidence boost because Drew's such a veteran. And he's had a heap of fights, and he's been in with the best, and I think literally the best at the moment, which is Islam. And I held my own fine and came away with the win. So yeah, it was cool to fight somebody that was that experienced, been in the UFC that long, and get the win because I'm still pretty inexperienced in MMA, in my opinion.
Mm. You just mentioned Islam, which is a name that you have mentioned before as someone that you wanted to fight and that you respected him so much as a fighter. Of course, now he's going to be fighting Dan Hooker later on in the month, and you will be fighting Rafael. Talk to us about that match. How did that come about, and is this the fight you wanted?
It wasn't the fight I wanted. So Rafa's like a mate of mine, and we thought that we would fight probably a little bit later in the rankings, like when we're a bit higher, because we knew it would be a really good fight. But there was no other fights available, so a lot of the other ranked fighters were either waiting for a higher ranking or injured or something like that, or already matched up. So the deal was really like sort of fight Rafa or maybe fight somebody unranked, or I have to wait until next year. And I wasn't keen for any of those other two, so I just gave Rafa a call and told him what they said to me, and he was like, yeah, cool, we'll just make some money, so now we're going to fight.
We'll just make some money. Always the name of the game at the end of the day. Yeah. But describe that conversation, though, because, it's one thing to say, hey, mate, how's it going? And it's another to say, hey, mate, let's go to the UFC and have a fight against each other. We know each other really well. Was it a little bit awkward?
Well, I don't think it was too awkward. Like, I think we were both like a little bit gutted that we had to fight this early. That maybe we were like sort of mentally prepared for it later on. Mm. And I think Rafa was a bit gutted too. I think the other options for him were two other guys that he's friends with. That was the other two options that he had to fight. So for him it was like a bit shit. It was either me or these two other guys that he's all friends with. So. But that's literally how it went down. I just gave him a call and told the situation and said, we may as well do it. The fans keep asking for it as well, and if you want to make more money, you have to do what the fans want, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's how we ended up where we are.
Now, of course, you know each other very well because you were both training at Tiger Muay Thai for a standard amount of time, and know each other's, style of fight, I'm guessing, pretty blimmin' well. Now, when some people hear that, they think, oh, no, this guy, Rafael, will know Brad inside and out, but it works both ways. So how do you use this to your advantage?
Well, I guess when you get to a certain level, you can just change on the fly. Rafa's had a lot of stand-up fights and a lot of MMA fights, and I feel like when you've had a lot of stand-up fights, you've come across so many different styles that you've had to learn to fight so many different ways. So I don't think Rafa's coming in there to fight me based on my last fight, and I'm definitely not going there to fight him based on his last fight because he's changed quite a lot as well in all of his UFC ones. So yeah, I don't think it's too much of an issue that we've trained together, sparred together, lived together and stuff like that. I think it'll just be it'll be a very instinctual fight, that's for sure.
That's right, and you probably do know a lot of his instincts, even though it may have been a little while between drinks since you both sparred each other. But what does he bring to the table? What are you expecting from him in this fight?
Yeah, he's like a very, very heavy hitter. He's got a lot of power and he's very explosive and he's pretty diverse. Like he's pretty good. He's got quite an interesting bouncy rhythm. So that'll be quite cool to see if I can click onto that early on. His last fight, he got a little bit tired at the end there in the third round, which I tend to do the exact opposite. I tend to rev up a little bit, more like a diesel engine. And, so we'll be interested to see how that plays out. But I definitely can't start too slow because he'll probably catch me. Don't really want to get knocked out.
Yeah, he'll probably be thinking about that too. He even made mention, I think, in the post-fight conference of his last fight, saying, "Oh yeah, my cardio probably wasn't where it needs to be." He's so blunt in how he talks. He doesn't mince his words. It's really crack up.
Yeah.
But the lightweight division, and we've said it before, is easily one of the deepest in the UFC. And you find yourself, well, when I checked the rankings today, you were at number 12 and Rafael was at number 14. But do you kind of start to smell that you're climbing up a little bit more? On that though, Dan's sitting at number 6, another one of your friends. Maybe need to start making friends outside of the weight division. But he talks about the UFC title and going for the championship. He's said it for a long time. Is that your goal as well, or are you still trying to really establish yourself in the division?
I'm definitely starting to smell the title. I don't feel like I need to establish myself anymore. Like, I'm very established in there. People are very aware of who I am. And I think my feet are only just getting wet in there. I don't feel like I'm at my full potential in MMA yet. I'm still very new to it. So, yeah, the belt is definitely on my eyes. But making like a ton of money out of this promotion and the sport is also a big goal of mine. I intend on retiring from working once I retire from fighting. So, yeah, and the only way I'd fight Dan would be if we were fighting for that belt. It wouldn't happen any other way. So, yeah, I assume that we have the same goals.
In order to
take all the UFC's money and take the belt.
I like that plan. And talking about that, though, to get to those title fights, it's not only about beating the best, it's about preparation as well. And with the way things have been in Auckland in terms of lockdown and restrictions, it's been really tough, not only for yourself, but for your whole gym and the MMA community really in New Zealand to be preparing for anything. I made mention with Dan, it's so much harder when you need other people to train with. You can't just get the best by yourself. So talk about preparations and how possibly tough it's been to try and be at your best.
Yeah, there's definitely been some challenges and some obstacles presented. Some certain reporters that keep chasing us around, and MIQ is making it very difficult as well, trying to get back home. Our stays are getting longer and longer in America. They're going from like a month to like a couple of months, and at the moment, mine's going to be about 3 months. So I'm going to have to take my family over to America as well, and we'll see. Hopefully we get back sometime sooner than what it's looking like. But yeah, definitely the most challenging camp I've come across, but nowhere near as challenging as Dan's. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. In saying that, though, are there talks? Because obviously he's abroad and you're all spending kind of time in your own kind of boat abroad now, where it used to be kind of a group or a pack mentality, just to get these fights and just, as you say, to make that money. So how do you all stay in touch and ensure that everyone is okay and that the goal of, participating in the UFC is at the forefront rather than getting so frustrated with what's happening with MIQ?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. You can let MIQ sort of eat up at you and get you frustrated, or you can just put it behind you and try and move forward as best you can. So, I guess Eugene and Israel and them are all talking about moving to America. I'm not too sure about ourselves whether that will be on our cards, but we just stay in touch, obviously via social media and stuff like that. But Dan's doing pretty well over there. fortunately, we have a lot of people in America that are like sympathetic to our cause, so they're helping Dan train and get him ready to fight Islam. So I guess we're super lucky in that way. But it would be nice. The government gave us a few vouchers to get home after fights. It's not too many to ask for, and I think we're representing the country pretty well, and it's not unfair. So it would be nice if they hear this and give us a couple, because Also, let us swap vouchers, because I have a voucher that could get Dan home after his fight. But unfortunately, you can't change names anymore, because people have been like selling vouchers and doing some dodgy stuff instead of just using them for what they're for. So that's also a shame.
Right. You know, you mentioned Eugene, and when we think about you boys going over and fighting and being stuck there, it's your whole camp. You know, whoever travels with you is in the same boat. They also have to apply for these exemptions and all sorts of things. So how is this shaping up for you? Do you know who's going with you and what that situation will be yet?
Nobody from New Zealand is coming with me. There's no vouchers home, obviously, as I just stated. So I'm just going to go by myself with my family. And Alex Volkanovski has offered to come over and corner me for my fight. So, because I think as of November the 1st, Australia can self-quarantine at home for 1 week. So he's going to pop over, corner me, and then shoot home and self-quarantine in his house. So I'm extremely grateful for that. Obviously, he's the champ, and he's a champ at fighting, but he's also a really good cornerman, and I've trained with him for a very long time. So it'll be good to have a familiar face in there. Otherwise, my partner would probably be holding my water bottle.
It's not like she hasn't done it before, Brad. But
right.
On Alex Volkanovski, obviously, you know, you two have been, you know, together in a few fights, whether it be you or him. And obviously when he fought T-City, you weren't able to be there because of this situation. Did that feel a little weird to you? And you know, what were the messages that you were able to send Alex?
I didn't have too much to do with his last camp. I just sort of gave him a little bit of shit as a friend during his training and stuff like that. And to be honest, that was the best I've ever seen Alex. So maybe I shouldn't interfere anymore, because that was the best fight that I've seen him have, and it was definitely the most entertaining. I learned a lot about him just by watching it from all the way over here. And I'm looking forward to training with him again, because he looked so good in that fight. He really showed that he was the champ, and now like everybody has to respect him and acknowledge him as the champ. There's no choice, because he's a beast.
That's right. It was totally convincing, possibly one of the best UFC fights that's going to go down in history, that one. In your division, though, Dan Hooker will be coming up against Islam. Of course, we've already mentioned a fighter that you see yourself fighting in the future. How closely will you be watching that fight, and how do you see that going?
Yeah, very closely. Obviously, Islam's a very good fighter. Like, as far as his fighting skills go, I have a lot of respect for him. But as a person, I don't really have any respect for him because of some of the Twitter comments he made a long time ago. One of the greatest fights that I've seen was Weili Zhang versus Joanna. I was there live for that one. These two women fought 5 rounds of like the best fight that I've probably ever seen. And either him or his manager tweeted that this sport is not for women. So once I read that, I was like, nah, screw that guy. I've got no time for him. So I really hope Dan knees him in the face and puts him to sleep, which is very, very possible, because Dan's an extremely good striker. He's a much better striker than Islam. And, Dan's a veteran, so I'm sure he's going to be fine in there, and I'm definitely going to back him to win.
Most definitely. Oh, just the right motivation you need to when you face him sometime in the near future. Yeah. Look, before I leave you, Brad, back to your beautiful outing outside. What happens from here on in? Because we still don't really know what's going to happen with lockdowns, if they're going to change the restrictions, etc., etc. But what does the journey look like you from now until December the 4th?
Well, I'll just be training in my house, and I've emptied out my lounge. I have nothing in my lounge. We pretty much just live in my bedroom at the moment, and my lounge is just all mats, so I get everything done in there with some people in my bubble. And it looks like that's going to be the way for the next few weeks until, I fight. There's obviously some outdoor work going on, but, there's also some restrictions on that. So most of it's happening in my little unit, so it's all good. I'll get it done.
Kapai, and obviously seeing what Dan can do would also give you the motivation you need to know that it can be done, exactly. Right? Brad, thank you so much for your time. All the very best. We'll be watching closely as always, and stay safe for you and the whānau going over in December.
Thank you two guys. Thank you for having me on again. Thanks for the support.
No problem. And of course, you can catch Brad Riddell and all the UFC right here on Sky Sport, on both Sky Sport and Sky Arena. Stay tuned for those fights coming up. Until then, hei kona mai.